Okay, boys and girls, if you have not done so already, make sure that you write on your goal sheet 1-3, perform operations with fractions. Make sure you also fill in your homework score from the previous day. So this video is generally a review, so there's probably not many notes that you're going to need to take. But I would highly recommend that as you see a problem, if you think you know how to solve it, pause the video, solve it, and then go ahead and push play and see that you did it correctly. If you don't know how to do it or don't remember, then you can simply watch the video and take notes with it. So the first thing I want to talk about is a little bit of vocabulary, a little bit of basics of fractions. Numerators and denominators. Numerator is the top number, denominator is the bottom number. When we divide these two numbers, we call it a fraction. And so here I have a visualization of a fraction that is 1/4. Okay, so one part shaded out of 4 total parts. All right, so simplifying fractions. In order to simplify a fraction, you need to find the greatest common factor. So I can see here with 30 and 48, I can't think of anything bigger, but for now, I can see that I can divide them both by 2. Wow, I really don't like this pen. Sorry guys, got a new pen today and I'm not liking it. Alright, so we simplify that and that gives us 15, and 48 divided by 2 is 24. Is that completely simplified? No, I can see I can divide both the top and the bottom by 3. And that'll give me 5/8. That's going to be my final answer. So why don't you pause the video and try B and C yourself. Okay, looking at letter B, 22/45. Trying to find a common factor. Not 2, not 5. Looking to me, ladies and gentlemen, like we might have an already simplified fraction there. Simplified. Letter C, I can divide the top and bottom by 6. And that'll give me 2/10, which I could continue to divide by 2, which gives me 1/5. Now remember, if you don't use the same divisor as I do, you should still get the final simplified answer the same. It just might take you more or less steps. Let's take a look at multiplication. Multiplication people typically find to be the easiest. So remember, when we're multiplying fractions, we're simply going straight across. We're going to take the numerator and multiply it by the numerator and the denominator by the denominator. So this is going to give us 24 on top and 44 on the bottom. Always simplify your final answer. 24 and 44 are both divisible by 4. So that gives me 6/11. And it's always a good idea to show what you simplified by, in case you make a silly mistake. Now in the case of having 3 fractions that we're all multiplying together, we do the exact same thing. 2 times 3 times 14 gives me 84, and then 7 times 8 times 15 gives me 840. Again, simplifying my answer, I'm going to divide by, does 840 divide by 84? Yes, it does. Gives us 10, so that gives me 1/10. All right? Division. Division. Reciprocals are really important to the division concept. In order to divide fractions, you need to know what a reciprocal is. When reciprocals are multiplied together, they give an answer of 1. Reciprocals are numbers that have simply been flipped so that the numerator is now the denominator and the denominator is now the numerator. What is the reciprocal of 3? It's 1/3. What is the reciprocal of 2/3? 3/2. Okay, so in dividing, all we're going to do is rewrite the problem as 4/5 times the reciprocal of the second fraction. You always flip the second fraction. That's where a lot of people make their mistakes. So now we're just going to multiply straight across and then simplify our final answer. This fraction here is in simplest form, and we're going to leave fractions as improper. That's going to be our general rule. You do not need to change it into a mixed number unless you are asked to do so. That must be exciting for you. One less step, right? All right, so let's try that again. Rewrite the problem as the first fraction times the reciprocal of the second fraction, and then multiply straight across. 14 times 5 is 70, and 17 times 2 is 34. Simplify if possible. Those numbers are both even, so I know it at least can be divided by 2, which is going to give me 35 on top and 17 on the bottom. Final answer. All right, so let's look at addition. Addition gets a little trickier because we have to remember that in order to add them, we must have a common denominator. So in this case, this one's easy. I already have a common denominator. I add the top numbers and keep the denominator. In this case, I don't have a common denominator. I need to find the least common multiple. What number can I multiply each of these by to get a new denominator that is the same? I'm going to go with 24. So I'm going to multiply the first fraction by 8, because 3 times 8 is 24. That gives me a 16 on top. I'm going to multiply the second fraction by 3. 8 times 3 is 24. That gives me a 3 on top. And I'm still adding. Keep the denominator. Add the numerators. Final answer, completely simplified, 19/24. Let's look at some subtraction. Subtraction's the same as addition, except we have to subtract. So again, we need a common denominator. Here we have one. 8 minus 1 is 7. Keep the denominator. Here we do not have a common denominator. So again, I need to find a least common multiple. I'm going to go with 33. So in the first fraction, I'm going to need to multiply by 3. That'll give me 30. And in the second fraction, I need to multiply by 11. That'll give me 22. Again, I'm going to subtract the numerators and leave the denominator. That gives me my final answer, completely simplified. All right, so let's get a little more difficult here. When we have mixed numbers, the easiest thing to do is to change it into an improper fraction first, then multiply or divide just as we have been before. So to change 3 and 2/7 into an improper fraction, we're going to multiply by the denominator, then add it to the numerator. So 3 times 7 is 21, plus 2 is 23. Keep the denominator. Let's do the second one. 2 and 3/14. Multiply by the denominator. 2 times 14 is 28. Add it to 3. That gives us 31. Keep the denominator. So we are doing 23/7 divided by 31/14. And remember, in order to solve this problem, we're going to need to flip the second fraction, and we'll be doing a multiplication problem. Okay, now I'm going to do this the trick way first, and then I'll go back and do it the other way. So I can see here that these two numbers have a common divisor of 7. So I can make that a 1 and make that a 2. 23 times 2 is 46, and 1 times 31 is 31. And then all I need to do is see if I can simplify that. I can't think of anything, so that's my final answer. So you can do it that way, or let's back it up. And 23 times 14, just multiplying straight across like we did in the other problems, is 322. And 7 times 31 is 217. Then I need to find a common divisor of those two so I can simplify. And let's see here. What if we try 2's not going to work, 3's not going to work. How about 7? I think 7 will work. 322 divided by 7 is 46, and 217 divided by 7 is 31. Final answer. So you see how when you're dealing with bigger numbers, that can be more difficult, and you have a benefit of trying to cross cancel. All right, let's try the next problem. We're going to multiply 2 and 2 ninths by 1 and 1/4. So I'm going to multiply 2 times 9 is 18, plus 2 is 20. Keep the denominator. Times 1 times 4 is 4, plus 1 is 5. Keep the denominator. So again, let me show you the trick. 9 and 5 don't have any common divisors. 20 and 4, however, can both be divided by 4. So that gives me a 5 here and a 1 here. Multiply straight across. 5 times 5 is 25. 9 times 1 is 9. I can do that problem the same and get the exact same answer if I use the old method. Straight across, 20 times 5 gives me 100, and 9 times 4 gives me 36. Now I need to simplify. Top and bottom can both be divided by 4, which will give us 25 ninths. Exact same answer. One's a little bit faster. Okay, so this is your homework tonight. It's on My Math Lab. It's chapter, let's use a different color, chapter 1-3 as we wrote in the goal sheet. So that's how you can find it. If you finish early, please complete any missing assignments. Come see me to practice verbal and algebraic equations. I've got a card sort. Or study for a quiz. Could be any day now.